Go. All right. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome into a special edition of the Batter Up Podcast, sponsored by the Dugout Millwood here on the Sports Insanity Network. You got Mike, you got the old ops guy. We're here. One reason. Even though last night was technically opening night, which was really stupid, today is opening day for our beloved New York Metropolitans.
Woo-hoo!
And Mark, I can't speak for you, but some of us here are excited.
Look, I was pretty nervous back, as we all know, right after the season. I am beyond excited to watch this new team come out there and play. A lot of heart. I'm going to miss a few players who left, but the show's got to go on. So I'm looking for what this new crew is going to put out. Time for new favorites to move into place.
You put out the words new crew. Here's the lineup that the Mets are throwing out there today on opening day. Leading off and playing shortstop, Francisco Lindor, which was always the goal of the Mets after the hamate bone issue. Hitting second and playing left field, Juan Soto. Hitting third, and ironically enough, playing third, Bo Bichette. The cleanup hitter playing first base, Jorge Polanco. Hitting fifth and playing center field, Luis Robert Jr. The DH hitting sixth, Brett Beatty.
Yeah.
Hitting seventh, playing second base, Marcus Semien. Batting eighth and playing right field, Carson Bench. And batting ninth and catching, Francisco Alvarez. And on the mound, Freddie Peralta. And that's how the Mets line up today on opening day. Two things that caught my eye when I read the lineup, and then we'll get into bench. One, Luis Robert hitting fifth.
I said he was going to hit high in the order.
No, I know you did. I just didn't think it'd come opening day. I thought maybe they put Semien in there.
You know, that was most likely the situation was basically 5 and 7 I had on different. I think Luis Robert is going to have a stellar year.
Hmm.
And I think this warm day that's going to be at Citi Field, yeah, we'll get into who he's going up against in a little bit.
Yep.
But I think he's primed to protect Polanco at fifth. Much better than Alvarez could or even Beatty.
And that was the other one that caught my eye. I thought Brett Beatty had a really good spring, swinging the bat. A little surprised they gave him the DH nod, just because I thought maybe they would want to use his glove. But you know what? I'm okay with Brett Beatty being the DH. Also,
I don't have an issue with it.
Yep. Also because Beatty has the word bat in it, so that there you go.
And Beatty has his few seasons that he's been up, has always started off hot. So, I mean, let's hope that is a continuing trend.
And I think the good thing for him is it's going to be continuous play. He's not going to be a spot player like he's been over the last couple of years at times.
Right.
He's basically the new Jeff McNeil, where he's going to play some first base. They'll give him some third. They'll give him some time in the outfield. And obviously today, they're giving him the DH role.
They want to keep his bat fresh. So
and I think that's also a good thing. If there's a lefty brought in late and you want to hit for him, you could use Mark Vientos.
Right. And then Vientos can stay in as DH if needed.
Right. So there's your kind of platoon there. Let's get into Benj because I know that's something we both are very excited for.
Mm-hmm.
He had a tremendous spring training, and let me be honest when I say it didn't hurt him that Mike Talkman got hurt.
That was just unfortunate.
Right. But let's be real. Let me be real honest when I say before the Talkman injury, he was making the team.
I think that was the exact clue and key there was he was going to make this team because of the excitement he generated and what the fans want. And as Mike put it, he had an amazing spring.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone who saw the video on social media, YouTube, Twitter, whatever, of Carlos Mendoza telling Carson Bench she made the team. I love those moments, but when they tell the young player they made the team or you're getting called up, I love those videos, man.
First in a long, long time.
And look, it's so good for Carson Bench because also let's not forget the ego put aside here. The Mets are moving Juan Soto over to left field.
Yeah.
A lot of ego driven guys would have said, I'm a right fielder. I'm playing right field. Soto, they move over. Bench comes in, and they put him in a spot in the lineup, hitting eighth, where there's not going to be a ton of pressure on it.
And that's a big key for somebody like him. As I said, 5 and 7 could be switched around. As I said, Simeon has never been known as a banjo hitter at the seventh, but I don't think it's a knock to his talent. It's getting players who can hit at the bottom of the order so the top of the order can do what it's supposed to do and being able to rotate it around. So I like the situation in what's batting set up here. I think Benj is going to have a chance to ease in at eighth spot today. I think he'll walk it in, let him get him through that first inning of the fan crowd and all that. We know he's played in front of, big crowds before, but never 40,000 fans. And this kid is going to get one hell of an ovation when he comes out.
And he's going to have one hell of a test his first time up at the plate.
Oh, boy.
Because of who the Mets are playing. They are facing the Pittsburgh Pirates, and this is how they line up this afternoon. Leading off and playing center field, O'Neill Cruz. Playing second base and hitting second, Brandon Lau. Hitting third and playing left field, Brian Reynolds. Hitting cleanup, the DH, someone who always kills the Mets, Marcell Ozuna. Hitting fifth and playing right field, Ryan O'Hearn. Hitting sixth and playing shortstop, Jared Triolo.
Who?
Jared Triolo.
Okay, that's a new one to me. Sorry, Pittsburgh fans.
Hitting seventh, playing first base, Spencer Horwitz. That was sixth. Hitting seventh, playing third base, Nick Gonzalez. Hitting eighth, Nick Gonzalez. And hitting ninth and catching, Henry Davis. And on the mound, the reigning, defending, undisputed National League Cy Young Award winner.
The combination of Randy Johnson and Nolan Ryan.
Paul Skeens on the hill.
Look, here we go. We finally have said it. We've gotten the word out. He who should not be named has been named. Look, I have the one pitcher right now who's not a Met who I wanted to see pitch is Skeens, and the only way I could have done that is spent a fortune to be out there today, and I would have loved nothing more. But Skeens, first game, what do the Mets have to do, Mike? I say they have to they just can't drop behind. All they have to do is just keep even. And they're not going to let Skeens go 7, 8 innings in the first game. So maybe that's the advantage. The more you can keep him in, run up that pinch count a little if you can.
I think the other thing is just don't get to 2 strikes.
So
Because we know how he's got the splitter that's outrageous, the high velocity fastball. Um, yeah, I think you got to be a little aggressive to a point. To your point, though, you could work the count. I'd also like to see with the lineup the Mets have, and last year at points they were so reliant on the long ball. We know what Pete did, and he's no longer there. We know what Juan Soto did. We know what Lindor's capable of. But if you look at the top of the order, Lindor, Soto, Bichette, I like to see some hit and run.
yes,
First to third. Like those are things I want to see, especially against a top pitcher like Skeens, because you don't know how many opportunities you're going to get against him.
you don't get many cookies right over the plate from Paul Skeens. And if you do and you're not ready for it, you're not even blinking an eye and you miss it, that's it. You missed your one chance. This is not a guy who makes mistakes often.
Yeah. So if you're the Mets, and look, I think the tone gets set early by
Has
how
to.
the lineup is set. Lindor, Soto, and then Bichette. But we know the kind of eye Lindor has, and we also know he's had a knack in his Met tenure to lead games off with a bang.
Yeah.
And we also know what Juan Soto's got the arguably the best eye in the game. So I
Want
think
to sorry, I want to see stolen bases from him again, just like he did last year. I mean, yes, I like to play small ball as well. I think that would be a very good thing, especially the way Citi Field plays in those gap to gaps. And I'm talking about hitters like Polanco and Bichette here.
yes.
They'll get there 20. Well, I don't know about Polanco. I'll say Bichette hits 20, 25. I'll be happy
Polanco
with
could get you 15.
I'll be happy with 15 from Polanco, especially age-wise and where he's hitting. So I want to see, like Mike said, a hit and run, but I want to see this team that's now was speed, definitely, yeah, speed, non-speed last year. There was no speed. There was a speed deficiency. There's the word I want. This team is now a team with legs. So I want to see more than one guy stealing bases here.
I think the thing you're looking for is they're more athletic.
They're younger.
They're yeah, younger. You know, Luis Roberts, a guy I know who's got potential to steal some bags. I'm sure they're going to have Benj run a little bit if as he
I
gets his
would
feet wet.
I would love to see a triple from him today, just so they could showcase this kid's speed.
Yeah, look, I think the ultimate key is we know this is Paul Skeens. We know he's, in my opinion, he's the second best pitcher in baseball at the moment behind Skubal. Just hey, listen, just be yourself up there. Don't fall into any traps. And by the way, I think something that's going to be an advantage for the Mets, certain hitters, especially Soto, is how they now use the ABS system.
I mean, Mike, explain the rules quickly again on how the ABS works for people who don't know.
Okay, so ABS is the automatic ball strike challenge. The only three people who could challenge a ball or strike call are the hitter, catcher, and pitcher. Can't come from anybody else. For a hitter, they tap their helmet. It gets reviewed. If it's a strike, it's a strike. If it's a ball, obviously it's a ball. every team, I believe, gets 2 challenges, but if you are correct, you keep them.
Right.
Wrong, however, you lose it, like in football.
Right.
So uh, I'm going to be interested to see how teams utilize it early in the season.
I would think, and I agree with you, that the one guy who's got, I would say the two guys who've got permission are Juan Soto at the plate. And obviously, if you watched throughout spring training, Francisco Alvarez had the highest rating of ABS calls in minor league play this season, getting them reversed.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to trusting his eye a little bit. And the fact that he dropped about 20 pounds, I'm happy too.
Well, I also think it helps because he's a catcher.
Yeah.
I mean that's going to be the big benefit for him. Um, and listen, he was very aggressive in spring training with this thing. He's very aggressive when it came to this.
And then Freddie Peralta, we know he's gonna have his moment, whether he uses it or not. He will be given free reign.
And we'll see how it works. I do know from watching spring training, a lot of the pitchers didn't do it. They just let Alvarez handle it, and they went on with that. But let's get into Peralta here. The Mets acquired him for Brandon Sproat and Jet Williams.
That's
He's
all.
in the last year of his contract. There's been some rumors about extension, but this is a really, I hate saying it because it's opening day, but this is a very important start for Freddie Peralta.
For the first start of the season to be, a lot of people were wondering, were they going to thrust Peralta in or are they going to let McLean take it from last year? I think the right decision was made to
Mm-hmm.
let Peralta go day one because he was brought in to be the ace. With no offense to Nolan McLean by any way, it's not a diss to him. As Mike has also just mentioned on, is that the Mets are working on a 5-year extension. There's going to be a lot of talk about it throughout the season. I don't think anything's going to get done right away. If anything gets done, it happens around the trade deadline. And I'm saying that for a key reason that I'll mention at the end.
Yeah, and look, I think with the addition of Peralta, this rotation now is really set for the fact of the one thing it was truly lacking was an ace.
Yes.
So now you go Peralta. I believe how Mendoza has it lined up is Peralta today. Tomorrow is an off day
Correct.
because I guess they thought if it rained they could just do the home opener tomorrow, which totally
Right. They got a nice day today.
yeah. Peterson goes Saturday.
And I like that.
Yeah. And McLean goes on Sunday.
And then you got Holmes followed by Senga.
Holmes and Senga.
I truly believe the right move was to put, and Mike, I credit this from last weekend. Mike had made the same, and he said that it was the smartest move to put Manaea in the bullpen to start. And the reasons he gave was that if Senga fails, they have Manaea they can turn to come back into the starting. I think that was the key element. So I wanted to touch on that, why Manaea is not mentioned in the starting rotation.
Yeah, he could totally piggyback off of whether it's Senga or Holmes or if someone doesn't give you a length. I mean, the other guy is this. Tobias Myers is going to play a role here. The other guy they got in the Peralta deal. So we'll see what happens there. But the other thing about the Mets, and we haven't hit on, I don't want to hit on it because where he went, but the loss of Edwin Diaz and they bring in Devin Williams. I think the back end of the bullpen, until we see Devin Williams in a spot, I think that's going to be a question a lot of fans, Mark, want to answer.
And Mike couldn't pick that spot to be better to talk about. Obviously, Diaz went for the reasons he did. We've talked about it enough. Devin Williams, I think, has a little rejuvenation now that he's reunited with David Stearns since when he was in Milwaukee. And giving time to talk and maybe just make the transition to the Mets easier than harder and to shove it down the Yankees' throats, saying, look, we were originally bringing you in to be the go-to guy to get to Diaz. Now you are the guy. We need what we had in Milwaukee. And if anybody can remember what he was as a closer in Milwaukee, if the return of him about 75% of that, I'd be happy.
Yeah. And look, the back end, Luke Weaver's going to be probably the eighth inning guy.
Yeah.
And let's not forget, at some point in this bullpen, hopefully mid-April, they're going to get AJ Minter back. And that's going to be a huge get back for this team.
The bullpen this year is a little bit rejuvenated. We saw what the Mets did at trade deadline. They got every relief pitcher they could from every high end and haven't kept any one of them. So that's pretty much to show you what has happened there. This bullpen's a little bit more rejuvenated, but I agree with Mike that AJ Minter will be playing a bigger factor. The question is who's going to be the sacrificial lamb, so to speak, when he comes back. And well, we won't know until that point, But someone's gonna
we can presume it'll be Richard Lovelady.
Unless he has one hell of a start.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
But you got to give this guy a little love, Mike. Come on, a little love.
Listen, you do, but you gotta just also think it makes sense. Now, one thing about the Mets is since 1970, they have the best record on opening day at 41-15. So even though they disappoint a lot of years, the Mets always play well on opening day for the most part.
And, the last few years have been cold or it's been drizzly or whatnot. The fans are getting 70-degree weather. It'll be partly cloudy. So the one good thing about the weather is, for both managers, is I guess it'll be a little bit cool-headed, not worrying if they get up to 50 pitches because it's warmer out. Not like New York usually is at this time when it's normally 45 or 50 degrees. And then you don't want your pitchers possibly getting hurt. The temperature could give extension to Peralta and Skeens, just depending on pitch counts.
Yeah, so that, yeah. I don't know how windy it's going to be at Citi Field. We do know this. The game's going to be on NBC, not SNY, so we won't get to hear Gary, Keith, and Ron.
How do you do that to opening day?
Listen, it started last night with that awful Netflix broadcast.
That was horrible. Sorry, Netflix. We not a sponsor, but we're still saying it was horrible.
Netflix is not a sponsor, and it was a terrible show.
Mm-hmm.
Why they had Jameis Winston on the broadcast, I'll never know.
Again, the only thing that Jameis Winston and baseball have together is the word steal. That's about it.
By the way, the crab leg line was brought up. I don't know if you heard that.
No, I didn't. I must have missed that, but that's why I just said it now. I did not hear that. No.
So also the Mets will be wearing a patch this season with the name Davey on it to honor the late Davey Johnson.
Hats off.
So good stuff there from the New York Metropolitans. All right. two quick things, and then we'll get out of here and hope everyone enjoys the game. We said Sunday, Mark, on batter up. We both believe this is a playoff team.
Yes.
For you, I'm going to go with let's go lineup first, and then we can go into the rotation. For you, who's the biggest X factor on this team
For this season,
for the season?
it's not any of the new guys that have been brought in. It's Francisco Alvarez.
Mm-hmm.
Because look, we've seen when he was in the minors, and I got to see him when I was head operations at Hudson Valley. This guy could drive balls, and in AAA was driving balls. And even when he first came up, he hit 20 home runs, and then that disappeared due to injury, due to the fact that he gained a lot of weight and changed the way his style is. If the Mets don't have him, they have a very big hole in the lineup and a loss of a lot because no way Luis Torrens replaces a Francisco Alvarez batting wise. Defensive wise, different story.
You're 100% right. It's Alvarez, and he looked a lot better after coming back from the minor leagues last year. Hopefully he hits for a little bit more power. We know it's there. Hopefully he's a little bit more disciplined. Sometimes he got overly aggressive, but I'm going to go Luis Robert, and I think Luis Robert's a guy who we all hope will benefit from a change of scenery because he was on an awful White Sox team. And look, we know he's got the capabilities. He's he's about 3 years removed from going 30-30.
Right. And you said it, key is look where he was.
Yeah. And look, if he can stay healthy, and it's the same thing with Alvarez, if they can stay healthy, and I don't need them both to hit 30 homers, but if you could give me 40 to 45 combined from the two of them,
Then,
this is a ball game. This is a
yep.
different team.
You know, a lot of fans are going to be sore. And when they show Steve Cohen's face, they show David Stern's face, there's going to be cheers and boos. That's New York. That's all it is. It's New York. We have haters. Look, Mike and I booed Stearns when we saw Pete go. So Mike and I will admit that. But not one player coming out of that tunnel today will be booed at all.
No one's getting booed today.
Because
you don't get booed on opening day.
Well, there's been players who have been booed on opening day, but there's so much excitement built around this whole team. I think whether you're angry or you're not, you're still excited for what's coming this season, especially after last year's debacle.
Yeah. And the only way to erase last year's debacle is to go out there and, to quote the great Major League, win the whole effing thing.
And if we win one today and we win one tomorrow, that's called a winning streak.
It has
I'd rather go with the Roger Dorn line personally, but I don't think we can say that right now while live on the air.
No. All right. That'll do it for the Mets opening day preview as the Mets go up against the Pittsburgh Pirates. Freddie Peralta, Paul Skeens. I guess it's 1:10 Eastern on NBC. We'll be back Sunday morning, most likely with Danny Boy Reginald, to recap the beginning of the season. But if you like this content, like, comment, subscribe to the YouTube page, follow the socials, Facebook, the Sports Insanity Network, Twitter, Insanity Real. Go to the website, thesportsinsanitynetwork.com, for great blogs, vlogs, planes, streams, and automobiles. For the old ops guy, I'm Mike. Everyone enjoy opening day. And we'll talk to you Sunday morning.